Loneliness. It's a word we often hear, a feeling many of us have experienced, yet remains one of the most misunderstood and deeply personal human afflictions. It's far more complex than merely being alone, and confusing the two is a common mistake that can perpetuate its insidious grip. To truly begin our journey from despair to abundance, we must first unmask this elusive adversary and comprehend its true nature. Imagine, if you will, a bustling city street. People everywhere, talking, laughing, rushing to appointments. You might be walking among them, physically surrounded by humanity, yet feel an aching void, a profound sense of disconnection that sets you apart from every smiling face. This isn't solitude, which can be a chosen, peaceful state of introspection and rejuvenation. This is loneliness, a subjective, often painful, emotional response to a perceived lack of meaningful social connection. It's a feeling of being unheard, unseen, and ununderstood, even when 1,000 voices are echoing around you. The invisible chains of loneliness are forged not from physical isolation, but from emotional estrangement. They bind us when we lack genuine intimacy, not necessarily romantic, but the kind of deep, authentic connection where we can truly be ourselves, vulnerabilities, and all, and feel accepted. It arises when our fundamental human need for belonging, for being part of something larger than ourselves, goes unmet. Think about the myriad ways this can manifest. The single parent feeling isolated despite being constantly with their children. The corporate executive surrounded by colleagues but with no one to share their true fears. The student in a new city, overwhelmed by crowds but unable to forge a single bond that resonates. It's not about how many contacts you have in your phone, but how many people genuinely know you and how many you feel safe enough to let know you. Furthermore, loneliness isn't fleeting sadness. It can be a chronic condition, a deep-seated ache that erodes our well-being from the inside out. Its psychological toll is immense. It can manifest as persistent low mood, anxiety, irritability, and even a sense of hopelessness. Our thoughts can become trapped in a self-perpetuating cycle of negativity. No one cares about me. I'm unlovable. What's the point? This internal monologue reinforces the very isolation we yearn to escape, creating a cruel paradox. The longer it persists, the more it chips away at our self-esteem, making us less likely to reach out, reinforcing the invisible chains. We might start to believe that our feelings are unique, that no one else could possibly understand, deepening the sense of being alien in our own lives. But the impact of loneliness extends beyond the mind. Groundbreaking research has increasingly illuminated its profound physiological effects. Chronic loneliness has been linked to increased inflammation, weakened immune systems, higher blood pressure, and even a greater risk of heart disease and stroke. It can disrupt sleep patterns, impair cognitive function, and accelerate cognitive decline in older adults. In a very real sense, loneliness is a threat to our physical health, as potent as smoking or obesity. It's a silent killer, often operating beneath the radar of overt symptoms, leaving its victims feeling unwell without understanding the root cause. This isn't just a metaphor. It's a stark scientific reality that underscores the urgency of addressing this widespread issue. So, why is it so hard to break free? Part of the challenge lies in the stigma surrounding it. In a society that often glorifies independence and self-sufficiency, admitting to loneliness can feel like admitting failure. We fear being seen as needy, weak, or undesirable. This fear drives us to hide our true feelings, to put on a brave face, further isolating us behind a facade of composure. We scroll through curated social media feeds, comparing our seemingly bleak reality to the manufactured highlights of others, reinforcing the belief that everyone else is living a life filled with vibrant connections, while we are left behind. This comparison game is a dangerous trap, amplifying our sense of inadequacy and deepening the chasm of loneliness. Another contributing factor is the way our modern world has evolved. While technology connects us globally, it often disconnects us locally. We communicate through screens more than in person. Our communities are less tightly knit. The rise of remote work, while offering flexibility, can also reduce incidental daily interactions that once formed the fabric of social life. Our lives are faster, more fragmented, leaving less time and energy for sustained effort required to build and maintain deep relationships. We've optimized for convenience, sometimes at the cost of connection. Understanding these multifaceted aspects of loneliness, its distinction from solitude, its psychological and physiological toll, and societal factors that perpetuate it, is the critical first step. It's about pulling back the curtain on this often hidden suffering, validating its profound impact, and recognizing that you are far from alone in experiencing it. It's about accepting that feeling lonely is a universal human experience, not a personal failing. Only by truly comprehending the nature of these invisible chains can we begin to strategize how to loosen them, link by link, and embark on a transformative journey towards genuine abundance. It's not about magically erasing the feeling, but understanding it as a signal, a prompt for change, an invitation to reconnect, first with ourselves and then with the world around us. This understanding is a bedrock upon which all subsequent steps will be built, transforming a vague, oppressive feeling into a clearly defined challenge that can be approached with intention and hope. Having peeled back the layers to understand the true, often invisible, nature of loneliness, we arrive at the pivotal moment, the turning point. This isn't a single event for most, but rather a gradual shift, a courageous internal decision to confront the profound despair that loneliness can inflict and, in its deepest recesses, begin to cultivate hope. It's the moment when the weight of disconnection becomes so unbearable that the instinct to survive, to thrive, finally kicks in. Imagine standing at the edge of a deep chasm. On one side is a familiar, albeit painful, landscape of your current reality. The echoing silence, the lack of genuine connection, the nagging sense of being adrift. Looking down, you see the abyss of despair, the fear that this feeling will never end. This moment of full acknowledgement is terrifying, yet it's absolutely essential. We cannot begin to heal what we refuse to see. For many, this despair might manifest as a constant low hum of sadness, a dull ache in the chest, or a pervasive sense of emptiness. It might be a quiet resignation that this is just how life is, or a more active torment of anxiety and self-doubt. Whatever its form, acknowledging it means stripping away the masks we wear, the distractions we employ, and facing the raw emotion head-on. It's the moment we stop pretending everything is fine, even to ourselves. This acknowledgement, however, isn't about wallowing. It's about validating the pain. It's saying, yes, I feel this. This is real and it hurts. This act of self-compassion is incredibly powerful. For so long, we might have pushed these feelings down, told ourselves to get over it, or dismissed them as weakness. But the truth is, feeling lonely is a deeply human response to an unmet human need. When we acknowledge the despair, we begin to chip away at the shame and stigma that often accompany it. We realize that our feelings are not a personal failing, but rather a universal experience that countless others have navigated. This realization in itself can be a tiny flicker of connection, a subtle shift from I am alone in this to this is something many people experience, and if they can move through it, maybe I can too. And it is within this very acknowledgement of despair that hope begins to emerge. It's not a grand, blinding light immediately, but rather a delicate, tentative seedling pushing through barren ground. Hope in this context is not blind optimism. It's the quiet belief that change is possible, that connection is attainable, and that life can and will feel different. It's the whispered thought, what if, instead of the definitive never? The subtle shift in perspective is everything. It's the decision to lean into the possibility of a better tomorrow, even if today feels overwhelmingly heavy. Embracing this nascent hope requires a radical act of self-belief. It means trusting that you are worthy of connection, worthy of joy, and capable of taking the necessary steps, no matter how small or daunting they may seem. It's the commitment to no longer accept the status quo of disconnection. This is where we stop being a passive recipient of our circumstances and become an active participant in our own liberation. It's the moment we decide to stop drifting and start steering, even if it's just a tiny adjustment of the rudder. This turning point is also often catalyzed by a moment of clarity. For some, it might be an external event, a friend's gentle nudge, a book that resonates deeply, a health scare linked to stress. For others, it's an internal realization, a sudden weariness of the constant emotional burden, a yearning for something more profound, a recognition that staying the same is no longer an option. This clarity isn't about having all the answers, but about recognizing the question, how do I move forward from here? Once the spark of hope is ignited, however faintly, it becomes the fuel for action. It motivates us to take the very first, often terrifying, steps towards change. It might be researching therapy, reaching out to an old friend, signing up for a new class, or simply allowing ourselves to dream of a more connected future. These initial actions are often clumsy, imperfect, and filled with trepidation. They might not immediately yield the profound connections we crave, and there will undoubtedly be setbacks. But the crucial element is the movement, however small. It's the act of showing up for ourselves, of investing in the possibility of a different reality. This phase is about cultivating a mindset of proactive change rather than passive suffering. It's understanding that while loneliness can feel overwhelming, it is not a life sentence. It is a state that can be altered, transformed, and ultimately overcome. It is about shifting from "why is this happening to me?" to "what can I do about this?" This shift in locus of control, from external forces dictating our emotional state to our internal agency in shaping it, is a profound liberation. It's empowering to realize that while we might not control the world, we can control our response to it and our efforts to engage with it. So, the turning point isn't a magical cure, but the vital decision to embark on a healing journey. It's the acknowledgement of the deep valley of despair, followed by the courageous act of lifting our gaze toward the distant peaks of hope. It's a profound act of self-love and resilience, setting the stage for the practical strategies we will explore next, the ways we can actively rebuild connections and cultivate a life overflowing with genuine abundance. This internal shift, from victim to agent, is the bedrock upon which all subsequent positive change is built, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to seek light even in the deepest shadows. Having confronted the raw truth of loneliness and ignited that fragile spark of hope, we now stand at the threshold of action. This is where the abstract notion of overcoming loneliness transforms into tangible, deliberate steps. Rebuilding connections isn't about magically acquiring a vast network of acquaintances overnight. It's about cultivating meaningful engagement, interactions that genuinely nourish our souls and fill the void that loneliness created. This phase demands courage, persistence, and a willingness to step outside our comfort zones. But the rewards are profound. The first, and perhaps most critical, strategy is to prioritize quality over quantity. In our hyperconnected world, it's easy to fall into the trap of accumulating friends on social media or attending endless superficial gatherings. Yet, true connection isn't measured by the number of likes on a post or faces in a crowd. It's about the depth of shared experience, the feeling of being truly seen and heard, and the mutual vulnerability that forms the bedrock of authentic relationships. Instead of spreading yourself thin, identify a few individuals with whom you genuinely connect or whose values align with yours, and invest your energy there. Think about what kind of connections you truly yearn for: a confidant, a casual companion for hobbies, a mentor, or simply someone who understands your unique perspective. Targeting your efforts makes them more effective and less exhausting. Next, consider the power of small, consistent gestures. Overcoming loneliness doesn't require grand romantic gestures of friendship. It often begins with the simplest acts of reaching out. This could be sending a heartfelt text to an old friend you haven't spoken to in a while, commenting thoughtfully on someone's social media post, or simply offering a genuine smile and hello to a neighbor or barista. These seemingly insignificant interactions can chip away at the walls of isolation, reminding both you and others of our shared humanity. Consistency is key here. A sporadic check-in is less effective than regular, albeit brief, moments of connection. Think of it like watering a plant. Frequent small amount of water are better than one large deluge followed by drought. For those who find initiating contact daunting, focusing on shared activities and interests can be a powerful gateway. When you engage in hobbies or causes you're passionate about, you naturally encounter others who share those interests. This immediately provides common ground, reducing the awkwardness of initial conversations. Join a book club, a hiking group, a volunteer organization, a local sports league, or even an online community centered around a niche hobby. The activity itself provides a focus, reducing the pressure to make conversation, and organic connections often flourish in these low-stakes environments. The shared purpose or enjoyment acts as a natural bridge, making it easier to move from polite acquaintance to genuine companionship. The beauty of this approach is that even if deep connections don't immediately form, you're still investing in something you enjoy, which in itself can combat feelings of emptiness. Furthermore, mastering the art of active listening and genuine curiosity is paramount. When you do engage with someone, shift your focus from what you want to say to truly hearing what they're communicating, both verbally and non-verbally. Ask open-ended questions and invite more than a yes or no answer. Show genuine interest in their experiences, thoughts, and feelings. People are drawn to those who make them feel understood and valued. This isn't about interrogation. It's about creating a space where the other person feels safe enough to open up, which in turn encourages them to reciprocate. Remember, connection is a two-way street. It's not just about what you receive, but also what you offer. A truly attentive ear and a curious mind can be powerful magnets for authentic connection. Be prepared for rejection and setbacks. Not every attempt to connect will be successful, and that's perfectly normal. Some people may be busy, others might not be looking for new connections, and sometimes, despite your best efforts, there simply won't be a spark. Do not internalize these experiences as personal failings. See them as data points, learning opportunities, and simply move on to the next attempt. The courage lies not in avoiding rejection, but in persisting despite it. Each no brings you closer to a yes, and each awkward interaction refines your social skills. Resilience in the face of perceived setbacks is a hallmark of those who successfully navigate the path from loneliness to connection. Finally, consider the transformative power of vulnerability appropriately shared. True connection flourishes in an environment of authenticity. While you don't need to overshare with everyone, allowing yourself to be a little bit vulnerable, sharing a genuine feeling, admitting a struggle, or showing a less than perfect side, invites others to do the same. This creates a deeper level of trust and intimacy, moving relationships beyond the superficial. It's a leap of faith, but one that often yields the most rewarding bonds. Start small, perhaps with someone you already feel a nascent connection with, and gradually increase your openness as trust develops. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. And vulnerability, in the quest for connection, is perhaps one of the greatest acts of courage. By actively engaging in these strategies, prioritizing quality, making small, consistent efforts, finding common ground through shared interests, practicing active listening, building resilience against rejection, and embracing appropriate vulnerability, we begin to weave a new tapestry of relationships. This isn't just about filling a void. It's about enriching our lives with meaningful interactions that reflect our authentic selves. Each successful connection, each shared moment, is a tiny victory against the invisible chains of loneliness, bringing us closer to a life of true abundance. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but every step forward is a step toward a more connected and fulfilling existence as we journey from the depths of despair towards abundance. It's tempting to believe that the solution to loneliness lies solely in the external world, in finding more friends, more partners, more social engagements. Yet, a truly fulfilling existence, one brimming with abundance, requires profound and often overlooked step, cultivating inner abundance and self-connection. This isn't a substitute for meaningful relationships with others, but rather a vital complement, providing a stable foundation from which genuine, healthy external connections can flourish. Without this inner work, even a room full of people can feel empty if we are disconnected from ourselves. Think of your inner world as a garden. If it's neglected, filled with weeds of self-doubt and unaddressed emotions, no matter how many beautiful flowers, external connections you try to plant, they may struggle to thrive. Cultivating inner abundance means tending to this garden, nurturing your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being, independent of external validation. It's about discovering or rediscovering who you are at your core, what truly brings you joy, and what gives your life meaning. This journey often begins with mindfulness and self-awareness. Taking time to simply be with yourself, to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment, can be incredibly powerful. Practices like meditation, journaling, or simply spending quiet time in nature can help you tune into your inner landscape, recognizing patterns, understanding your needs, and developing a sense of presence that grounds you. This isn't about ignoring pain, but acknowledging it and learning to sit with it, knowing it doesn't define your entire being. A critical aspect of self-connection is fostering self-compassion. We are often our own harshest critics, relentlessly judging ourselves for perceived flaws or past mistakes. This internal critic can be a powerful driver of loneliness, as it convinces us we are unworthy of connection. Practicing self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and acceptance you would offer a dear friend facing similar struggles. It means recognizing that suffering is part of the human experience, and that you, too, deserve empathy and care, especially from yourself. This shift from self-criticism to self-kindness gradually dismantles the internal barriers that keep you isolated, allowing a deeper sense of inner peace and acceptance to take root. When you are kind to yourself, you project that kindness outward, making you more approachable and authentic. Cultivating inner abundance also involves actively pursuing your passions and purpose. Loneliness often thrives in a vacuum of meaning. When we engage in activities that genuinely light us up, whether to create a pursuit, learning a new skill, or delving into a fascinating subject, we tap into a source of intrinsic motivation and fulfillment. These activities don't necessarily require other people. They are about enriching your own life, expanding your horizons, and finding joy in personal growth. This sense of purpose, of being deeply engaged in something that matters to you, creates an internal richness that fills the void often associated with loneliness. Moreover, these passions can naturally lead to connections later on, but their primary value here is the self-generated joy and meaning they provide. Furthermore, it's essential to develop a strong sense of autonomy and resilience. Learning to enjoy your own company, to thrive in moments of solitude rather than merely enduring them, is a profound liberation. This doesn't mean becoming hermetic. It means developing the inner resources to feel complete and content even when alone. It involves building emotional resilience, the capacity to bounce back from setbacks, to manage difficult emotions, and to navigate life's challenges without constantly relying on external validation or company. This inner strength makes you a more stable and attractive present for others, as you interact from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. Finally, cultivating inner abundance involves a conscious practice of gratitude. Shifting your focus from what you lack to what you have, both internally and externally, can dramatically alter your perspective. Taking time each day to acknowledge the small blessings, the simple joys, the strengths you possess, and the positive aspect of your life helps rewire your brain for optimism and contentment. This isn't about ignoring problems, but about recognizing the existing richness in your life, however small it may seem at first. A grateful heart is an abundant heart, and this internal state naturally attracts more positive experiences and connections. In essence, cultivating inner abundance and self-connection is about building a robust internal world that provides stability, meaning, and joy, regardless of external circumstances. It's about becoming your own best friend, a compassionate companion on your life's journey. This internal strength not only diminishes the sting of loneliness, but also transforms the nature of your external relationships. When you come from a place of inner fullness, your connections with others become less about filling a void and more about sharing your abundance, creating a more balanced, authentic, and truly enriching life for everyone involved. This is the bedrock upon which genuine, lasting abundance is built. Having embarked on the journey of self-discovery and reconnection, both externally with others and internally with ourselves, we arrive at a profoundly transformative stage, transforming isolation by finding purpose in community and contribution. This isn't just about belonging. It's about becoming an active, valued participant in something larger than ourselves, shifting from a state of passive receipt to one of meaningful engagement and impact. This transition from focusing solely on our own needs to extending our energy outward can be incredibly powerful in dismantling the last vestiges of loneliness. The human spirit inherently yearns for a purpose. We are wired not just for survival, but for meaning, for leaving a mark, however small. When we feel isolated, the sense of purpose often dwindles, replaced by a feeling of insignificance or being adrift. Engaging with community, however defined, provides a framework for purpose. A community can be a formal group like a volunteer organization, a local club, or a spiritual congregation. It can also be less formal, a neighborhood watch, a group of parents at school, or even a shared interest group online that fosters genuine interaction and mutual support. The key is finding a collective where your presence matters, where your efforts contribute to a shared goal, and where you feel recognized not just as an individual, but as a vital part of a whole. The act of contribution is a powerful antidote to loneliness because it shifts our focus from what we lack to what we can offer. When we give our time, skills, or even just our presence to a cause or a group, we create value. This act of giving is intrinsically rewarding. It boosts our self-esteem, validates our abilities, and provides a tangible sense of accomplishment. Think about the profound satisfaction derived from helping someone in need, or from seeing a project you contributed to come to fruition. This isn't altruism for the sake of it, but a recognition of a fundamental psychological truth. When we are needed, we feel less alone. When we are part of the solution, we transcend our individual struggles. Volunteering is perhaps the most direct route to finding purpose through contribution. Whether it's at an animal shelter, a food bank, a hospital, or an environmental cleanup, these activities place you in direct contact with others who share a common goal. The shared effort and inherent sense of mission create natural bonds, often leading to deep connections forged through mutual hard work and shared values. These relationships tend to be less superficial because they are built on a foundation of purpose rather than just casual socializing. You are not just meeting people. You are doing something meaningful with them, beyond formal volunteering. Finding purpose in community can stem from any activity where you actively participate and contribute. This might involve joining a community garden, becoming an active member of a local arts group, coaching a youth sports team, or even taking on a leadership role in a hobby club. The common thread is active engagement. It's moving beyond being a passive observer and stepping into a role where your input, your energy, and your unique perspective are valued. This sense of being an active agent, rather than a solitary bystander, fundamentally transforms the experience of life. The beauty of contributing to a community is that it often creates a virtuous cycle. As you give, you receive. You receive a sense of belonging, a feeling of validation, new perspectives, and often unexpected friendships. These connections are organic and powerful because they are born out of shared values and a common mission. They move beyond small talk to discussions about passion, impact, and shared goals, which are far more fulfilling when you're working alongside others for a common good. The barriers that loneliness erects naturally begin to crumble. Furthermore, finding purpose through contribution helps us shift our perspective from an internal, self-focused narrative to an external, service-oriented one. When we are consumed by our own loneliness, our world shrinks. By contributing, we broaden our horizons, encountering diverse individuals and problems, and realizing that our own struggles are part of a larger human tapestry. This expanded view can provide immense perspective, reducing the intensity of our own feelings of isolation by connecting us to the wider world. It's an act of stepping outside of our own heads and into the flow of life. Ultimately, transforming isolation through community and contribution is about activating our innate human drive for meaning and connection. It's about understanding that true abundance isn't just about what we have or who we know, but about what we do and how we impact the world around us. By investing our energy and talents in a cause greater than ourselves, we not only alleviate our own loneliness, but also enrich the lives of others, creating a powerful ripple effect of positive change. This final integration into a collective purpose is where the journey from despair culminates in profound and sustainable sense of belonging and an overflowing abundance of life. We've explored the depths of loneliness, ignited a flame of hope, meticulously rebuilt external connections, cultivated a rich inner world, and found profound purpose in community. Now, we reach the culmination of our transformation, sustaining the journey, living a life of continuous growth and connection. This isn't about reaching a fixed destination where loneliness is banished forever. Rather, it's about embracing a dynamic process, a lifelong commitment to nurturing the abundance we've worked so hard to create. True abundance isn't static. It's a flowing river, constantly replenished by conscious effort and a proactive mindset. The first key to sustaining this abundance is understanding that relapses are part of the process. Just as physical wounds can ache on cold days, old feelings of loneliness might surface, particularly during periods of stress, change, or loss. This is not a sign of failure. It's a natural human experience. The difference now is how you respond. Instead of succumbing to despair, You possess a toolkit of strategies and a deeper understanding of yourself. When those familiar shadows appear, acknowledge them without judgment. Remind yourself of how far you've come. Revisit the self-compassion you've cultivated, and re-engage with the strategies that brought you out of despair in the first place. This resilience, the ability to bounce back from emotional setbacks, is a testament to your growth and a cornerstone of lasting abundance. Prioritizing self-care and boundaries remains crucial. In the excitement of new connections and community engagement, it's easy to overcommit or neglect the inner well-being that fuels your ability to connect. Continuous growth demands that you listen to your own needs. This means setting healthy boundaries with others, knowing when to say no, and actively scheduling time for rest, reflection, and activities that replenish your energy. Whether it's quiet time alone, engaging in a beloved hobby, or simply getting enough sleep, self-care isn't selfish. It's essential. It ensures you have the emotional and mental reserves to maintain your connections and continue contributing meaningfully. Neglecting self-care can lead to burnout, which in turn can create new feelings of isolation or overwhelm. Furthermore, embracing lifelong learning and curiosity fosters continuous growth. The world is constantly evolving, and so are we. Staying curious about new ideas, new people, and new experiences keeps your mind active and open, providing fresh avenues for connection and purpose. This can involve reading widely, taking courses, exploring new cultures, or simply asking deeper questions in conversations. A growth mindset, the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work, applies not just to skills, but also to your capacity for connection and joy. It keeps you engaged with life, ensuring that your journey toward abundance is always expanding, never stagnant. Actively nurturing existing relationships is just as important as forging new ones. Once connections are established, they require ongoing attention and effort. Make time for the people who truly matter. Be present in your interactions, offer support when needed, celebrate their successes, and be a reliable presence in their lives. These acts of consistent care deepen bonds over time, transforming acquaintances into true companions. Remember the principle of quality over quantity. Investing deeply in a few meaningful relationships can yield far more sustained joy and support than a multitude of superficial ones. Regular check-ins, shared experiences, and mutual vulnerability are the hallmarks of enduring connections. Finally, paying it forward and mentoring others can solidify your journey and amplify your abundance. Once you've navigated the path from despair to connection, you possess invaluable insights and experiences. Sharing your story, offering advice, or simply providing a listening ear to someone else struggling with loneliness can be incredibly rewarding. This act of giving back reinforces your own growth, reminding you of the strength you've gained. It transforms your past pain into a source of wisdom and empathy, creating a ripple effect of positive change in the world. This outward focus prevents stagnation and ensures that your journey continues to be one of purpose and profound connection. Living a life of continuous growth and connection is about embracing the ongoing dance between introspection and engagement, between self-care and service. It's about recognizing that abundance isn't a final state, but a dynamic flow, requiring constant nurturing, adaptation, and a willingness to remain open to life's unfolding possibilities. By committing to these principles, you not only sustain your personal journey from despair, but also become a beacon of hope for others, demonstrating that a life rich in meaning, purpose, and genuine connection is not just a dream, but an achievable, enduring reality. We've journeyed together from the depths of despair to the peak of abundance. If this series resonated with you, imagine the transformation you can continue to unlock. Don't miss out on more insights and strategies to live your most connected, purpose-driven life. Subscribe now, hit the notification bell, and share this message with someone who needs it. Let's keep building a community where no one feels truly alone. Your journey to a life of abundance is just beginning, and we're here to help you every step of the way.